watch your hands. You should watch your mouth. Bitches press. I mean, it's a mouth to mouth. You see the stats?
Bernie Sanders would never come on our show, and it was because he likes to go on corporate news because they always attack him from the right. He didn't want somebody criticizing him or critiquing him from the left. If you remember, he wouldn't even let Kyle Kalinske come on his own show when Kyle was going to critique. Back when Kyle wasn't Malibu.
I forgot.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and Kyle said, "Sure, you can kick me off my own show." Because that's the kind of spine Kyle has, which means he doesn't have anybody. So he'll go on someone like Theo Vaughn's show, which I love Theo Vaughn, and he'll go on someone like Andrew Schultz's show, knowing that they're not going to actually. They're not into politics the way we are here, and they're not going to actually cut him off at the legs. But they actually do.
Schultz did, didn't he?
Schultz actually does do a really good job. Bernie did not see this coming, I think, and Schultz actually watch
work, Schultz,
and watch what they get Bernie. So good on Schultz, and watch what they get Bernie to admit. Watch this.
The problem I think a lot of voters had is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to, like, 2016, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported him.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But, you know, you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice, but
yeah, so I chose the people who actually cheated me personally and cheated out my movement. So instead of taking my movement and extracting some concessions from those people, I completely rolled over. Completely rolled over, and I didn't ask for anything. And in fact, I then herded those people back into the Democratic Party, who did all basically the essentially same things that the Donald Trump administration did. And I told them to vote for it. And then 4 years later, I did the same thing. So what he's saying is I had a choice to make. The choice he made was for his own political ass. That's the choice he made. He wanted to be a member of the Democratic Party, and he told Chris Hedges, when he said, "Hey, Bernie, in 2015 and 2016, you should run as an independent," Bernie Sanders turned to him and Jesse Ventura and said, "I don't want to end up like Ralph Nader." That was the choice he made. He's trying to make it seem like, well, I was opposing Trump, so I had to go with Hillary Clinton. No, you were looking out for your own political ass. That's what you were doing. So this, again, he's a phony. And it doesn't bring me any joy to say that. I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, but I'm not a sycophant. I'm not tied to Bernie Sanders, the politician. I'm tied to the ideas he was pushing, right? Bringing jobs back to America, making the tax system fair, ending wars, health care that's affordable and works for everybody, that kind of stuff. So
he doesn't want to be like Ralph Nader, the guy that got seatbelts in cars.
Yeah, that's right.
And they try to a guy with an actual legacy that actually did something. Yeah, that would be a shame.
And so here he is saying that. So that's false what he just said. But watch the good on. So he's like, I had to side with the cheaters. I had to side with but it even gets better. Watch this.
It ended up being him anyway. So why don't we burn it down?
It ended up being Trump anyway. Exactly what Jimmy Dore was saying since 2016. Why it's going to end up being again. Let's do it.
Building season.
Yeah.
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, food to eat, that the schools will deteriorate.
That all happened anyway. The homeless population exploded under Joe Biden. What are you talking about?
Well, Jimmy, it's not that simple.
The children are being slaughtered right now. Under Joe Biden, they were slaughtered everywhere. What are you talking? There's Ukraine slaughter. There was the Gaza slaughter. There was homelessness skyrocketing. What are you talking? The prison pop. What are you talking about? I did it for children. This is so stomach churning to watch.
It's not that simple, Jimmy. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
The tapes that would come out of me and the things I was supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Like my family and my career is too much.
But it gets even better.
Will not have health care.
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
But then could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear.
Fair enough.
Are the Democrats also a threat to democracy? And Bernie Sanders said yes.
What are we doing here?
What? So great, by the way, great job by the Andrew Schultz show. I don't know what that was.
I forgot the other guy's name, but good work on him.
Good work. That was fantastic. Because I don't even think I would have been able to pull that off had Bernie Sanders in my studio. I don't think I would have got him to it. He'll never come, but I don't think he would have. He didn't see that coming.
They're reaching out to young men. So remember, we needed Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we needed Joe Rogan.
Andrew Schultz is friends with Charlemagne, who supported the Democrats still this day.
Yes.
And so it seems like a neutral, good, safe ground with young men, and he seems to have a following.
Yes.
He didn't know he was going to get asked real questions at all.
And so they said, aren't the Democrats also was that the whole thing? You had to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because we're saving democracy. Well, there he is admitting that it's actually the Democrats that are a threat to democracy, and the Democrats are the ones who rigged their primaries. So we haven't actually had a voice in government or a choice since 2008. That's what he just admitted to.
That was great.
That was great. Tip of the hat to Andrew Schultz's show and that guy.
It is.
So I'm going to hear it again.
Ostensibly, there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008. Are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear.
Yes.
Fair enough. That is. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
So then, Bernie, why are you going around the country stumping for the Democrats if they're a threat to democracy? Why aren't you doing what you said needed to be? So that's what he's been doing. So he's going around propping up AOC because they want her to be the next face of the Democratic Party. That's exactly what he's doing. So he's trying to herd people back into the Democratic Party. That's what this tour is about. That they're not fighting oligarchy because they love oligarchs. They're the party of oligarchs. Yeah. More billionaires supported Kamala Harris and Joe Biden than supported Trump. So so that's complete. Yeah. That's just
these two.
That's a smoke screen.
Golden Dome before Trump.
That's right. So what they're doing is trying to keep people back into that left-right, Bloods versus the Crips, our tribe is better, and please come back into our anti-worker, pro-war party that's for censorship. Mm-hmm. Please get all the people who have revolutionary energy, keep them from starting a third party, which is what Bernie Sanders should have did. In fact, that's what he said had to happen. This is back in 1988, when Jesse Jackson was running for president. This is what he said had to happen. Back then, he knew the Democratic Party was evil and corrupt. Here's what he said.
Now, my own view, and it has been my view for many, many years.
For many, many years. This is his view for many, many years. What is your view?
Is that what we need in this country is what Jackson calls a rainbow coalition. But it has to be done outside of the Democratic Party.
So what he's saying is we need a rainbow coalition, meaning people from the left and the right, white and black, coming together, all colors, all coming together along class lines to start a party outside of the Democratic Party. He said I've been saying this for many, many years. What changed, Bernie? What changed? And that's why he wouldn't come on this show, because he knew I had this video and he didn't have an answer for that, because nothing has changed. In fact, the Democratic Party has gotten way worse since 1988. Way worse. And that's why he wouldn't come on this show. And that's why he wouldn't even go on Kyle Kulinski's. He wouldn't even let Kyle Kulinski be on his own show because he was afraid of somebody bringing this up. Go ahead, Kurt. What?
It's called the circle of cuck, Jimmy. I get cucked first, and then I go on and handcuff Kyle to a toilet and then do an interview with his wife.
So, let's hear it one more time.
Now, my own view, and it has been my view for many, many years, is that what we need in this country is what Jackson calls a rainbow coalition. But it has to be done outside of the Democratic Party. And I say that here, and I'm delighted to be here with DSA because they are a non-sectarian group, and we have worked with them, and we recognize that honestly.
So that, again, the DSA is a PSYOP that is completely controlled by the deep state and the billionaire class. The DSA is a garbage organization. I'm not saying there aren't good people who are committed to helping, and there aren't good local chapter. I'm saying the DSA from at the top and in the middle is completely a controlled opposition. And here they are back in 1988 applauding Bernie Sanders, saying we need to have a organization that's outside the Democratic Party. And of course, the DSA is 100% in the tank for the Democratic Party. They were
applauding. Did you hear that?
They were applauding. Applause. That was
couldn't get away with that these days at the DSA.
No, you can't applaud because it'll hurt someone who's sensitive to sound.
Yeah, that's not a PSYOP. That's not a Simon Says mind control op of clap now, don't.
People will have differences of opinion. But my own feeling is the arguments of working within the Democratic Party and without go as follows. The argument for working within the Democratic Party is that people say, well, that's where the working class is, that's where the unions are, let's stay within that. People are familiar with it. That's been their home for many, many years. There's truth to that, some truth to that. The argument against working within the Democratic Party is that for millions of Americans, both parties are looked upon with derision, with disrespect. Polls show that half the American people don't even know the difference between the Democratic and Republican Party. And I can tell you very honestly, this is just as a practical politician, which is what I am, when I campaigned in Vermont, and I don't think Vermont is terribly different in this respect than any other state in the union. We went all over the state and we shook probably 30, 40,000 hands. I don't think that more than a dozen times people came up to me and said, Bernie, I can't vote for you because I'm a really strong Democrat and I believe in the Democratic Party, or I'm a strong Republican and I believe in the Republican Party. They don't. I think what ends up happening is people don't see much of a choice. There's the option, you got the Democrats, Republicans, sometimes this one's a little bit worse, sometimes this one's a little bit better. But I think that by standing up and telling the truth, that both parties are controlled by big money, which is clearly the case, that neither party, and I don't want to, and I should tell you, by the way, that within the Congress and in the Democrats, you have a lot of good people, and I'm not here to put them down, and you know their names, good people who year after year have fought the good fight. But I think that nationally, the party has, on issue after issue, sold out so many times that if you go before the people and say, hey, I'm a Democrat, you don't usually generate a lot of enthusiasm.
So the person who actually sold out was Bernie Sanders. So that's the real Bernie Sanders. That's the Bernie Sanders people thought they were voting for in 2016. And he's not that guy anymore. Now he's just a guy who goes around and says, you got to be in the Democratic Party. That's it. That guy from Andrew Schultz is Kash Singh. That's his name, Kurt? Kurt, do you know his name?
Yeah, Kash Singh, that's right. Wait. The corralling thing, they're doing the same job as Ben Shapiro.
They're doing
Remember Ben Shapiro's big, I don't care about JFK? He goes, well, conspiracy used to be a left-wing thing, but now, sadly, it's infiltrated. They're all telling you to get back in your pen.
Yep. So here, Bernie Sanders flip-flop on the Democratic Party. I don't have time, but you get it. You get it. So Bernie Sanders is a big flip-flopper. I have one more story I got to get to, so over to Steph.
Okay, here we go.
You got to go, Kurt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot, I didn't know what time it was. All right, that was great, that Van Miller. But I'm glad you got him on, dude.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, over to Steph.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
All right, here we go. Ari Shafir is trolling us, damn it. This is Ari's twin, Texas grown. Thank you so much. Unvaccinated guy. Kerpel Zeus, 1 Kerp, 2 Kerp, 1 mic, 1 glasses, 2 Kerps. That's unvaccinated guy. Thank you. Autonot, split screen Kurt before and after LASIK surgery. Shane the pain. It's looking like it's like looking into a mirror, huh, Kurt? Shane the pain. Imran Khan, former president of Pakistan. Oh, camera 4 beside Steph. Imran Khan, former president of Pakistan, is in solitary confinement in pitch black. His son spoke about it. You should have them on. They want the word out. Wow, that is wild. I did not read about that, Alibi. Thank you for that. I will share that with the team. Okay, next. Oh, red blue has been a division psyop for hundreds of years all over the world. The real Schneid. Thank you, Mad in Rad. Much appreciated. Ex-Mormon here. Mormons are Fortune 500 in wealth and have a close relationship with the three-letter agencies. Nobody knows how much money they have because they don't have to report it to the IRS. Mad. Esgal. Thank you, Esgal. Just want world peace. Our CERP needs to get new media, White House press credentials, if only to get a question in front of legacy media. Yes to having Scott Rouse on. Also love Chase. I've been watching the behavior panel for years. Jewel. Thank you, Jewel. Wow, Don Gondingo was sweating like a neocon in church when he said there is no there there. Mind runner.
No kidding.
Thank you, Mind
Okay.
runner. Back to Jimmy.